So our goal, I have a bestie. Her name is Stephanie. She's in Wisconsin. I come here for the winter to train with my coach, and I ride dressage, and that's all I've ever been focused in on. And I've been a horse trainer for 25 years, and I feel like yourself, the horse industry needs change, and we're looking at financial issues that horse trainers aren't educated in how to run a business. They're, they just jump in and they don't know how to communicate to clients, ironically, and they don't know how to run a business. They're burnt out, they're stressed, and when they're burnt out and stressed, that puts upon stress on our horses. And so my goal of the channel is to help share like yourself, your story, which I know there's a lot out there that they can learn, but like I always like to have an introduction on who are you, why, and how have you developed, and then we go around the farm and we discuss like what has worked in your farm, what hasn't worked in your farm. So it's a little less on training, but it's more on how do you manage, and like what would be great is like how do you manage as a family. I work with my mother and it can be difficult, and so that is my goal, is to help professionals become better.
Okay. What I would like to say about that is congratulations. I believe you're on the right path, and I believe in you and your thoughts that you just gave us. Way more than tradition, even working. Yes, he's nonviolent, but he stopped winning when a lot came through that we didn't know about, because he had horses that didn't win too. Mm-hmm. And I won 12 world championships. Dressage was in there in one of them because it was a 7-event thing in New York's Madison Square Garden called Horsemanship. Now, I don't blame those old timers. I can't blame them. Everything that we do dates back to some time when we did it a lot different. Everything we do. Our clothes, everything. Raising children, everything. And so you reach back and you do what your great-grandparents and so forth, your family has done. And you can't really be blamed for that. That's how we live. But more and more are watching a new way, and it's changing faster than anything's ever changed in this world. Not so, I guess machine guns and airplanes and stuff would rank over it. But in the horse world, what I've done has not been repeated yet, but it's being repeated on the glide, And so you don't blame those people that are still beating up the dressage horses, beating up the jumping horses. What you do is say they could do it better if they actually wanted to do it, and if they had fun doing it, they would do it better. I didn't win 12 world championships on horses that cost $200,000 or $300,000 like they do. I won them on horses. I know one that I won 2 world championships on, and he was undefeated in 2 seasons, and he came to me with a value of $3,000 by Brasdior. He was bred pretty well. $3,000. You take him and start him. But the owner didn't even know what I did. He just wanted me to start him. And I started him, and he went 2 seasons totally undefeated.
Wow.
In the Hackamore.
Okay.
Working cattle and dry working.
Wow. All 3.
Sorry?
All 3 divisions.
All 3 divisions.
Wow.
World championships in each one.
Wow.
and they were offered $70,000 for him and sold him.
Oh.
And he went to a traditional trainer in Los Angeles. He would already do it, but he needs to know I'm tougher than that Monty Roberts guy.
And the trainer didn't come to see you ride and didn't ask you questions?
No. He said, I don't need to see that namby-pamby stuff.
No way.
I'll show you how he'll really win. He never won another contest.
Oh, that's heartbreaking for the horse. I'm sorry.
Never won another contest.
Why wouldn't he pick up the phone and talk to you?
My events were in the Hackamore at 3 and 4. My Hackamore is the only Hackamore that has been a one-horse Hackamore. You just can't find one that they haven't put it on several horses. This Hackamore was only on him, and it's hanging on my wall. And I watched him go downhill and eventually be put down.
Oh, that's heartbreaking. I've had to watch that myself, and I would love if people called me.
Yeah, and I don't want to tell you I'm a hero because I did that thing with Fiddle Dior. I'm not a hero at all. He was telling me all the time, this is better than anything I'm seeing these other people do. And they refused at one point to allow him to show in Salinas, the biggest of all, because he was too young. And the director of the show said, we need those that are right out at the edge because this is the toughest Hackamore class in the world right here. And you will embarrass yourself and me too as the manager if I let you go in. Eventually, one of the best, Don Dodge, one of the best ones at that time showing in that sort of thing, convinced him that let him go in. He's just going to embarrass himself, not us, if he does a bad job.
And they were saying this in front of you?
Yeah, and there were two segments to this Hackamore class, the cattle and the dry.
Okay.
He won both of them and won the whole show.
Wow.
Champion of the whole show. He was never defeated until he was sold for $70,000 and then he never won another thing. That's not me. It's what God showed me to do. And I believe in the Almighty. So many things happened that just wouldn't have happened had they had miracles coming my way every day. Somebody was pushing buttons somewhere. I can tell you that I was in East of Eden with James Dean, and how did I get that part? The guys in Salinas, they were going to do it at Spreckles Sugar Company, and the guys at Salinas said, I don't think you want to do these horse things where you show them whipping those draft horses that pulled the big carriages and stuff. This is the guy you need. And they had been convinced by that show. And they put me on and put me in charge of the entire cast. Wow. I have a picture of it. And now, is there a God in heaven? There was a lady in the crew that segregated the vegetables that went down the chutes. That's East of Eden. And I got a young lady from the school there that I had dated twice and took her to a movie show, Salinas. And I got her a job on that crew. She was running the crew, walking along behind them and telling them where the cabbage goes and where the lettuce goes and stuff. I'm still married to her. We got married 2 years later, June of 56. And Debbie, our firstborn, owns this farm now. Why is all that? Why did I give Debbie this farm? Because she called me and said, I want to continue your legacy. What am I going to say to that?
You're going to say yes.
So she owns the farm. We have the right to live in the house till we're gone. But yeah, it's a miracle each day. When I don't believe in miracles, it's from God. And he's controlling that whole thing. Maybe it's a she too.
I can't tell you. I don't know. So then who is Monty Roberts if you're not a hero?
Well, I am what the hero would use to figure out things. The director of East of Eden found me and put me there. And one of the things that they wanted me to do was to wear these old clothes and an old crumpled up hat to be part of the crew, you know. And they put us up on a stand. You can see a picture of it. They put us up on a stand, and Dean was right here on my left shoulder, and he was running the whole team down there with the chute going down for the vegetables.
It's so great.
Yeah, and he said, where did you get that hat? And I said, they gave it to me. I'm supposed to wear it. It's part of the thing, you know. Boom, boom. Threw it into the trees over here. So here comes Kazan, gets up on his chair and says, where the heck is Monty's hat? What'd you guys do with Monty's hat? And I said, Dean threw it away. What? Dean, why you throw away that hat? I want that hat on him. No. He's a nice guy and he wouldn't wear a hat like that. And he said, we'll go ahead and shoot it. And so the picture is without that hat. And I began to run the whole show. And the miracle really is that then I became Dean's #1 advocate and educator. And he was killed coming to my house. Coming to Pat's and my house. We were already married then. And he was coming to our house and he was killed on the way.
Wow.
Near Paso Robles. I don't know, how does that work without being a miracle, you know? I did literally hundreds of stunts for the films all through the 40s and 50s, part of the 50s. When a child and a horse was the #1 commodity in child in movies. And I worked with all the stars, but they didn't know me. That's a kid. Oh, look what he does. Can you imagine? I mean, East of Eden, I did some wild things when Liz Taylor had been injured doing the same thing, jumping fences across the field, swimming in the ocean on a horse, and all of that. Miracle after miracle.
And did you always want to be a horse trainer or a horse gentler? Is that
I can't remember a time when I ever thought I was going to do anything else. So if you'd have asked me at the time, do you want to be a horse trainer? You want to go to school and learn how to do these things? I would have just looked at him and said, I'm not sure. Let's do another stunt. And I had fun with that.
Yep.
And then my first world championship was in horse mastership. and that was 7 disciplines,
Mm-hmm.
and 3 days of written examinations. Parts and unsoundnesses.
Mm-hmm.
0 the pole, 1 the neck, 2 the loins, 3 the. I had it all memorized.
Mm-hmm.
And those kids couldn't beat me. The kids my age never had a chance to beat me. It wasn't fair at all. The picture you'll see of my first win
Mm-hmm.
and a trophy about that size was when I was 4.
4.
Yeah,
Wow.
and I was competing with kids up to 8,
Mm-hmm.
and I was 4.
You're half their age. And you started, you were raised on a farm, correct?
No,
No.
I was raised in a stable
Okay, yep.
on the rodeo grounds
Mm-hmm.
in Salinas, California, with
Mhm.
200 box stalls.
Wow.
And
And it was a riding school, correct?
riding
As well?
school. My
Yeah.
father ran a riding school, and he started beating me up when I was about 3, 4.
Wow.
And he put me in that contest, and when I won it, he got tougher and tougher on me because he wanted bigger shots from Hollywood.
To see you.
He
and-
was keeping the money,
Wow.
but he said, "Don't worry about your money. I'll keep it for you."
Yeah.
And he kept it. I never saw a penny of it.
Wow.
On a train, on a truck, New Mexico, Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada, Idaho, Washington, Oregon, California was the loop that I did. And virtually every child stunt that you saw in those movies was me.
Wow. And your dad promoted you.
Well,
To do that.
He actually didn't.
Okay.
He had a guy called Cy Ullman that was a kind of a promoter, and I guess he gave him part of our income.
Yeah.
I don't know, but he worked hard and got me every stunt that a kid had to do. And 3 out of 5 movies made in that time period was with a child and a horse.
And
3 out of 5.
Did you like being the stunt child?
I guess I did. I really liked quite a few of the guys I worked with,
Mm-hmm.
and they were all really nice to me. All. I stayed away from those that weren't nice to me, but some of them later in my life, around 20, 21, 22, started sending me their children to learn to ride.
Wow.
So they became very like I was their own child, you know.
And how long were you on the loop, and then what happened after, how did that develop after the stunts?
Yeah, after the stunts, exactly after the stunts, there is a God in heaven. Exactly after I said, "You keep my money, I don't care, you're not going to give it to me anyway, but I'm not doing any more stunts.
Mm-hmm.
I want to learn how to live with a horse. I want them to like me.
Mm-hmm.
These stunts, they don't like me. They're just doing what you want for flim flam in your movie. And I'm going to take over, and I'm going to live my life somehow with horses."
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, Dr. E.J. Leach was the president of the California Rodeo Association. And Dr. Leach was my father's boss,
Mm-hmm.
with the 200 stalls there on the place. And Dr. Leach watched him beat me up.
You didn't
And
stop
he
it?
went to him.
Oh, good.
And I remember so clearly, it was about from here to the other side of this room, that he told my father, "Sit down on the ground right there. You sit down on the ground." My father said, "Who do you think you're talking to? I know who I'm talking to, and you don't have a job if you don't sit down. And he sat down. And I'm on a horse over here. And he says, I watched you beat him up for the last time. You're never going to beat him again, or you don't have a job. You're out of here, and I'll find a place for him to go and grow out his years on my own, and I've got the money to do it. Don't touch him again. And I'm just a kid. I'm 8 years old, 9 years old, and wanting to stop that business of doing the stunts. Well, at that time, Dr. E.J. Leach was in charge of bringing Mustangs from Nevada over for the Wild Horse Race, which was the #1 event in the Salinas Rodeo at the time. And they had several trucks going to Nevada. They needed 150 Mustangs. Some wouldn't make it through. They would have an auction at the end, and so forth. And he said, he's going on one of those trucks, and he'll be as much help to these guys I'm sending to capture Mustangs as you would be. So leave it alone, or you're gone. And that really changed my life. I think I must have been 9 then. And it was about 6 months or so before the trucks went to go get the Mustangs for my 10th year, 1950. And I went in with them. I had 5 cowboys and me.
Wow.
6 of us. And I had 3 horses for me, big, semi-truck for the Mustangs, and a panel up front for our ridden horses, domestic horses, up in front, and a bunk above that over the cab was mine. And so there I am up there, and I'm thinking all the way over the Sierras, all the way down to Tuscarora, Nevada. And we knew that there was a family of Mustangs just north of Tuscarora, north and west a little bit up toward Idaho. And I said, we sat down in teepees. I've been thinking all the way here, I'm up in the top of the truck. Been thinking all the way here, I think I could go out and choose a young Mustang out of the herd, wild as a deer.
Right.
And I could cause him to come to me. And I learned that from the Mustangs in the corrals at home the 2 or 3 years previous to that, when Dr. Leach was helping prevent me from being killed. And these guys all laughed and slapped their legs, and we're not going to be responsible for you getting killed. You're crazy. There's no Mustang going to come to you out of one of these herds. We know what we're talking about with Mustangs. And I said, well, loan me a pack horse. I've got Brownie and I've got Oriole for me to ride.
Yeah.
But I need a pack horse to take our food and the equipment that I need. And there's quite a few little springs there north of Tuscarora. And the one mare that they gave me would stake out, and you could put her on a 50-foot line, and she would step over it, and she knew how to be staked out. And my 2 horses knew how to be staked out, that's for sure. So finally, one of the guys said, let him do it. And he'll come back tomorrow morning, and we'll go on. His father's going to be here in 3 days, they said. And we're supposed to watch to see that he doesn't get upset. So we'll let him do this for a couple of days and see what happens. And I went out and the horse came to me. I chose one out of there, a young, looked like a male, came to me. In 24 hours, I had a halter on. In 36 hours, I could lead him walking.
That's amazing.
36 hours. In 24 hours, I could lead him walking. In 36 hours, I put a saddle on him. And he bucked like heck. He wasn't gentle. He bucked a world of it. And I had him on this 50-foot rope, so he did that. And he stopped out there, I'll never forget it. Stopped out there and looked back at me. 1 step, 2 steps. Pretty soon he's right here beside me on my horse. And I'm rubbing my hands over his ears and over his head and neck. And he's going for it, licking and chewing. Next morning, 48 hours, I guess it was 3, I guess it was almost 60 hours. But anyway, I had him saddled, I rode him back to camp, leading all 4 of the other horses. And these guys went nuts. And they were told not to tell my father what I had done, but they told him by telephone.
Oh.
From these little motels they had along the way. They had this thing now called a telephone, and it didn't have a crank on it or anything. You could just call somebody by a number. And he came to kill me. And he got out of the truck to kill me. Remember, I'm 15. He's 28 years older than me. I was wrestling, boxing, and playing football. And they put him in the hospital.
Oh.
And that was the end of that relationship.
You never saw him again.
I saw him again, but it was the end of the relationship.
Yeah, it has to be.
But he turned up at Pat's and my wedding.
Wow.
And stood back there as if to be the senior in the show, you know. And we had a nice wedding, and there were a lot of friends that came. And he didn't do that much, and he left, and Dr. Leach was there and was kind of running the show. And right after that, Pat and I took a job working together to teach at a school that used horses in the educational process. And I had already graduated from 2 universities, and now it's 4 universities. Actually, the first one is just a little college, but
Yeah, Hartnell.
yeah, Hartnell College.
What did you study?
Behavioral sciences.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
And did the horses help you with what the university taught you? And did the university help you put into words and what you learned from the horses?
No,
What transpired?
the horses taught me everything.
Everything.
No switcheroo.
Nothing. Okay.
I would do something and they would say yes or they would say no. And I would go with them and they would salute me and do what I wanted them to do. So I took violence right out of it. After 50, you could invade me till I was 9. And then it was the end. Actually, Tuscarora was really the end at 10. I knew then that nobody had to beat these horses up at all. And I do it right in this round pen, right out here. I do it all the time.
Every day.
I start, well, in the real days of this farm, before racing dived off a lot.
Yes,
And
it has.
racing is going to go away. And so Debbie takes in people that love their horse, they want to ride, and they have a lot fewer horses, here, but when I was here actually running this as a business, I was starting 30, 40, 50 horses a year for racing. Yeah. And not one did I bash on. I don't want to say not one did I hit, because I rolled the line and let it
of course, but not
send them, But I'll tell you a quick story. I was in that round pen, and a lady called, and they said, Monty, a lady called, and she lives in the next town over here.
Buellton?
On 20 more miles.
Lompoc? Which lady?
Lompoc.
Okay.
Monty, a lady called, and she lives in Lompoc.
Okay.
And she went to a show, kind of Mustang show, up by Reno. And she bought a mare that's pregnant.
All right.
And the mare was 4 or 5 years old, and she wants to ride her and show her in Mustang shows.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, what does that tell me? Well, she's pregnant.
The lady or the horse?
Yeah.
The mare is pregnant. The mare is pregnant.
Okay.
And she's about to foal.
And she wants to show her? Wow.
Later.
Okay, I got it.
Later. But she wants me to put the first saddle on, first
And
rider
do all
on,
the,
and get her where she is accepted by this mare.
Okay.
And I said, okay, we get so much a day, and I love all kinds of horses, so tell her to bring her over. They came with a gooseneck trailer, drove right past this, and turned a circle here and backed the trailer up to the door of the round pen.
Oh.
She was completely wild.
Okay.
You never had a halter on.
Nothing. Oh, okay.
She bought her out of a chute in Reno, and they ran her on the trailer.
Okay. Yeah.
She drove down here, and she realized, I can't.
No, she's
Do this
unqualified.
horse.
Yeah.
So we had a mare in that round pen, and I got to have the round pen for the rest of the horses.
This is a problem.
So we had a young man working for us.
Then, was it Sean? Sean
McCarthy.
Was it Sean McCarthy? Yeah.
Sean McCarthy was working for us. The rider. He's the rider. And I said, Sean, we got to start this mare. And she's just a mare, so she'll be fine. Okay. We didn't have the ramp around the round pen then. He had one ladder that went up with a little stand at the top, and he could watch me so that if I got in trouble, he could come in, or if I was finished with the horse, he would take the horse out and bring me the next horse in. Yeah? So there's Sean with just his head over that picture right there. The same
Oh, yeah.
set of circumstances. Yeah. And so I said, ooh, Sean, she is really wild. When they opened that gate and put her through, she went 9-0 across the round pen and stopped at that big fence, but boy, she was agitated, and I sincerely didn't know I was going to get this done then. And maybe I shouldn't have said I would. Anyway, I went in the round pen, and Sean came back over here. He had other horses to take this way and that way. And I started this join up, and she went around there like a blowfly. I mean, she was zinging around this round pen. I want to get away from you. I want to get away from you, you know. And then pretty soon, her ear came to me. And Sean came back and climbed up on the thing, and I said, Sean, stay away for about a half an hour. I think she's going to do a good join up with me. Mustang, pure. Probably untouched by human being. Anyway, she came to me. He's down and gone. She came to me and allowed me to rub her between the eyes. And she went like that. And I said to myself, she's found me. And I'm not a killer.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked away, and she followed me.
Aww.
But she followed me big time.
Mm-hmm.
She locked on. Not like the thoroughbreds were doing. They do it, and I could do one for you today. They walk and follow me. And I turned right, and I turned left, and she followed me the whole way. Sean comes back, gets up there, and he says, "Holy moly, this is a different horse than we had before." And I said, "Yeah, it's amazing how fast she learns all of this." And right across from the gate is 12 o'clock.
Okay.
And then there's 2 o'clock, and there's 3 o'clock, and there's 6 o'clock is the gate. And then around to 12 again, okay? So Sean is up here at 6 by the gate. And he says, "Wow, maybe that's enough for today." No, I don't want to give this up. I want to stay with this and see what I can do here. And remember that she was heavy with foal. And so he got back down. She locked on to me. And I've given her a rub and everything. And everything is going so well. I said, "Sean, bring me a saddle." And he said, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm going to put a saddle on her." Mind you, it was 20 to 30 minutes after I'd met her.
Yeah, that's amazing. And she was whoosh.
The wildest you could ever imagine. He brought a saddle, and I was at 12 with my mare. And she was locked right here. And she's looking at him coming from the 12 spot. And he puts the saddle down, standing on its nose, like we normally do. Western saddle. Standing on its nose, and a saddle pad on top of it. And he turns around and goes out 6 and closes the gate. And she looks at the saddle, looks at me, looks at the saddle, looks at me, and she left me 9-0 as fast as she could run. She left me, and it's only 18 feet to that saddle. I've done this several times, so I know what I'm talking about. It was 18 feet. And she dives on the saddle. And the blanket goes in the air. And she's got the saddle in her teeth.
No way.
And she starts shaking it. And bits and pieces are flying off the saddle all over the round pen.
Oh, no way.
And she's striking it with her front feet. Now I'm at 12.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at 9. That's halfway to the gate.
Yep.
And I had just had back surgery. I couldn't climb over that 8-foot
No.
wall.
No.
And I wouldn't want to stick myself up there trying to climb over it. She owned me.
Yeah.
You know? So I went down on my hands and knees. I have never done that with any other horse in the entire life of mine. And I'm crawling right next to the wall as she's ripping and tearing on that saddle over there. And the pieces are flying everywhere. I'm against the wall, down on my hands and knees, and I get right to the 9, halfway to the gate. And Sean's up there saying, "I'll get the gate, I'll get the gate." "Sean, just get down from up there so she doesn't see you, and wait by the gate and listen for me." And he got down, and she was watching him get down. I could see it. I'm just looking like this. But I'm going to die. No doubt about it. And I said, "When she gets right, I'll tell you to open the gate quickly, and I'll run to the gate and get out of here if I can." So he's down out there and peeking through a little hole. And the saddle is all over the place. And she stopped about 20 feet from me over there like that. And I'm watching her, and she's coming to me. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. And I said, Sean, don't say a word. Let her hear my voice only. So I heard nothing. Another step, another step. And I'm down here like this, and Sean is watching. And he's already done his written story on what happened here. And the next thing I know, I'm looking right here, and I'm seeing 2 horse feet right here. And they're front feet. And I can tell the bottom of a front foot from a hind foot. And I'm with my feet back here, because you're on your hands and knees. And there's of feet back there. And so I'm like this so that I don't get stepped on, and I'm like this, and the front feet are just going. Never touched me. Never touched me. I'm just here like this, and she never touched me. And her head is going up and down like this, and she's looking all around, and tippity tap with the hind feet, bumping my boots, but never hurt not one bit of pain on my feet. And then comes the miracle. I hear
In your boots?
and I look back like this, and she's dripping milk
Oh,
on my calves.
oh.
My jeans are all wet.
Uh-huh.
And I said, Sean, just stay quiet. Stay quiet. She's accepting me. And I started going, 2-3 inches at a time. And she followed me all the way around there, dripping milk on my calves.
Oh.
And I got to the gate, and I stood up at the gate. I don't know why I did that, because it was more dangerous than just telling him to crack the gate a bit, and I slip out. But I stood up, and she tapped me on this shoulder with her nose a couple of times. And as I was going around there, she would bolt and run and take another strike at the saddle.
She was
And then run back to me
protecting.
and do that tapping again.
Huh.
Nobody's ever going to believe this.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever going to
You didn't
believe
have a camera in the arena.
No, God,
Rats.
no.
How cool would that
Wouldn't we have
been?
given anything to
Yeah.
have that?
But you had Sean.
But I had Sean.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he knows exactly what happened. Well, we were riding her the next day,
Wow.
and she went on to be shown by this woman,
Mm-hmm.
and championships were won by this mare. And championships were won by the foal too,
Wow.
2 years later or something.
Why do you think she attacked the saddle? Was had she already joined up with you, and she was protecting you and herself because she was in foal? I mean,
I'm assuming that she never saw a saddle before.
and because it was different. Just I'm gonna take care of our herd.
It's a killer.
Yeah.
Anything that's different could kill you.
Mm-hmm.
And she attacked the saddle because it might kill me.
Right.
And when she got it all torn up and we gathered it up, and then it was over. She knew it wasn't a killer.
Yeah. She took care of it.
I don't know whether your organization can use that kind of crazy dialogue,
Who knows?
but it's the truth.
It's fascinating.
Yeah,
I
and I
mean-
would take any kind of test given me.
It's written in your book, The Horses in My Life, too. You wrote
Okay.
that story in The
Well,
Horses in My
I
Life.
think we'll trust you.
Okay.
We'll believe you.
Okay.
And how did you find this farm? Why did you decide this area?
Yeah. I was living in Edna
Mm-hmm.
with my new wife
Mm-hmm.
and our first child. And we lived in Edna for 10 years. So Debbie, I think, was 9 when we came here in 66.
Mhm.
and
That's right.
10. You were
Going-
born in 66.
57.
What am I saying?
I know. Sorry.
57?
Born in 57, April, and we moved in